All right, today we are cracking open the case file on one of the most terrifying villains ever conceived, the Iron Queen. And she's not just some big bad monster. The source material calls her a singularity of magic. So in this explainer, we're going to figure out what in the world that actually means.
But before we can even get to her, we have to start with a really big question, one that kind of frames this whole thing. What is the real, honest-to-goodness cost of becoming more than you are? Just let that sit with you for a minute.
Okay, so let's get into it. And believe it or not, to understand this absolute nightmare of a creature, we've got to start with a very human idea from, of all people, the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah, stick with me here.
So Nietzsche talked about this goal called Übergang, which basically means overgoing. You can think of it as this constant drive to level up, right? To always be overcoming who you are right now to reach a higher state of being. It's all about the growth, the will to become more.
But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. To go up, you first have to go down. He called this Untergang, or downgoing. And this isn't about failing. Nope, this is the price of admission. It's the messy, painful process of actively tearing down your old self, your old beliefs, to clear the way for something new to be built.
So we've got the goal, the overgoing, and we've got the price, the downgoing. All right, that's the philosophy lesson over. Now let's watch those ideas get twisted into the creation of a literal monster.
Which brings us, finally, to the Iron Queen. See, to really get what she is now, we first have to understand what she was. We need to look at the legendary, powerful beings who were sacrificed, taken apart, and consumed to make her.
Just look at this roster. This is an all-star team of mythological heavy hitters. The Iron Queen was forged from 3 titans. You've got the demon Mephistopheles, who became the raw power source, a hellfire core. Then you've got the dragon Maleficent, providing the physical form, the vessel for all that wrath. And finally, Baba Yaga, the crone, who brought the brains, the cosmic intellect, and yeah, her city-sized mortar and pestle. 3 absolute legends, all willingly reduced to spare parts.
So the big question is, how do you take 3 of the most powerful beings imaginable and mash them into one? And here's the really messed up part. This wasn't something that happened to them. They chose this. This was their own twisted, horrific answer to that desire to become more.
This quote from the source material just nails it. It wasn't a team-up. It was, and this word is key, deliberate. A brutal, calculated act of what it calls violent alchemy, designed to literally unmake 3 beings and forge them into one.
And right here, this is where it all clicks together. Nietzsche's downgoing is a metaphor, right? A philosophical idea. But this ritual, the spinning of the void, is its horrifyingly literal counterpart. Not a thought experiment, but a violent physical dismantling of 3 living beings.
And the ritual itself? It's the stuff of nightmares. 3 steps. First, the grind. Literally deconstructing their bodies, putting Maleficent's wings and Mephisto's blood into Baba Yaga's mortar. Then the weave, using raw hellfire as thread to violently stitch dragon flesh to crone bone. And finally, the ignition, a massive internal explosion that didn't kill them, it fused them forever.
So after all that grinding and fire and pain, what crawls out of the wreckage? It's not a hybrid. It's not a committee. It is something utterly and terrifyingly new, a transcendent being born from the total destruction of 3.
So we started here, with 3 separate, legendary beings, each with their own power, their own will, and their own limits.
And through that nightmare ritual, we end up here, with one, a single, unified mind, a true singularity. And this new being, she's so much more than the sum of her parts. These are what you'd call emergent powers. It's like 1 + 1 + 1 doesn't equal 3, it equals infinity. She isn't just a collection of their old tricks. She's basically a new law of physics that breaks all the old ones. Suddenly, Baba Yaga's cosmic wisdom is powered by an endless hellfire core. Maleficent's primal rage is guided by a god-level intellect. All their individual limits are gone, resolved into this single world-breaking being. And this right here is the most crucial thing to understand. Her power isn't something she does, it's something she is. The source material calls it metaphysical radiation. Her very existence corrupts and unmakes reality just by being there. So no, she's not a queen who casts spells, she is the curse.
Which brings us right back to where we started. We kicked this off with some heady philosophy, and now we can see how this absolutely monstrous story is,
Really, a dark lesson in transformation.
Remember that overgoing idea from Nietzsche? That journey to a higher state? Well, the Iron Queen is what happens when that idea goes horribly, apocalyptically wrong. She achieved a kind of malicious transcendence, becoming what the creators call a superior and more destructive being, all by obliterating the very idea of an individual self.
And that's the final, wild takeaway. The philosopher trying to better himself and the three monsters forging themselves into a singularity, they're both driven by the exact same thing, a deep, profound rejection of standing still. To become more, for good or for evil, you simply cannot stay who you are. The old you has to go.
So we're going to end it right back at the beginning. The Iron Queen was born because a demon, a dragon, and a crone decided to dismantle themselves. It was a violent, agonizing transformation, but it resulted in a new, terrifyingly powerful state of being. Which leaves us with one last, kind of personal question. The Iron Queen was forged from sacrifice. What parts of you, what old ideas, what comfortable habits have to be dismantled for you to become more?